if anything, after Trump still won, it's magnified. That doesn't go away. That becomes 10 times as strong. We are angry. We're fed up. We're no longer putting up with the bullshit that we put up with 8 years ago.
So I'm talking to a first-time female voter this morning, my daughter, Katie, and I thought this would be a very different conversation. We almost canceled it, but Katie, I wanted to check in with you and maybe offer some of my own thoughts, but I guess, how are you feeling, first off?
I'm feeling a lot of things, but none of the things that I thought I would feel quite so soon after Tuesday. And now I'm kind of longing for the anxiety and the hope and the unknown, because right now what we know is something that's all too familiar. And I'm angry and I am heartbroken and I'm scared, because I think last time, this was 8 years ago, but last time I think that there was still an uncertainty. We knew a bit about who Donald Trump was, but we didn't take him seriously. And I think that we didn't know what we were entering into 8 years ago. And now we know all too well. And it's kind of a, there's more fear because we know what he's capable of. We know that any reasonable person that may have worked with him the first time has completely abandoned ship. And we thought that would be enough. If your own vice president isn't going to vote for you, we thought that would be enough for it to not even be a close race. But for it to have been decided this early is just, it's heartbreaking, and it makes me angry and ashamed to call myself an American alongside the people who voted for him.
Yeah. Well, I understand all of those feelings, and I want to say, first and foremost, you held up your end of the bargain, of the citizenship bargain. You understood the issues, you understood the risks, and you did the right thing. So many millions of Americans did not. I think the pundits are going to be all over the map as to why, whether it was disinformation or racism or the economy. We're not going to know. We may never know. But one thing I do know is that we need to stand in the way. I need to stand in the way of Trump hurting the people I care about. And I'm not asking you to do that. I think everyone will do what they are capable of, because this is the real test. Organizing a campaign and getting votes out, that's sort of table stakes for citizenship. But this is the real character test of a nation. In my heart, I do believe that the margin of error, or the difference in this election, was made up by people who didn't really understand the threat that Trump was, by people who didn't really understand that he's going to pardon insurrectionists, people who beat cops, that he's going to replace generals who are loyal to the Constitution with generals who are loyal to him. And that once the majority of Americans actually see that our character will come through. I'm telling myself that now, but certainly not as a way to assuage your anger and fear, because it is totally justified. Have you talked to your friends? How are folks feeling in your age cohort?
Yeah, I think the sentiment amongst people my age, amongst a lot of young women my age, is pretty unanimous that this was. I was talking to my roommate this morning, and we were talking about how 4 years ago Biden won, and trying to think about how how someone could vote for Biden, vote against Trump 4 years ago, and not do the same in this election. Because there are people who did so, and it was making us angry because the difference between Biden and Harris is she's a woman of color, and it made us angry that we are still in 2024. We have not seen a woman president, and it made us scared. We're all, I think, there's kind of an eerie silence on campus today because it's a combination of knowing a little bit of what's to come and also not. And I think the fear also stems from believing that, throughout since Kamala Harris, announced that she was stepping in for Biden this summer, I think there was an energy and excitement, and we thought that if we just have to show people, we just have to inform people, show people what a lunatic Donald Trump is, and I think that what's scary is the people who have seen it, and it doesn't matter. They have seen him. He's a felon. He's a rapist. He's sexist. He's racist. He's all the things that this country should not stand for. And they have seen that and stood by it time and time again as he gets worse and worse. And they validate his every move. And at this point, it leaves us wondering, what would it take? What would it take for them to see? And I think the fear is in that nothing. Because it wasn't January 6th. It wasn't an abortion ban. It wasn't any of these things. And so 4 years ago, we celebrated and thought that we got rid of this guy, and to be coming back, voting in my first election and seeing this, it's horrifying.
Yeah, it is. And I cannot make excuses for those people who saw Trump for what he is and still voted for him. It's going to take me a long time to wrap my head around that. I'm sure there are people we know and care about who fall in that category, and that is something I bet we have in common with every American who stood on the right side of history, and we're going to have to grapple with that, how we accommodate the people in our lives who chose the rapist. I don't have that answer. I do know, and I pledge this to you, that I am going to stand in the gap with everything I have, with this platform, with Veterans Against Trump, Vets for Responsible Leadership. There are good people who are going to step up, and when I reference America's character test, that's actually what I'm talking about. There are a lot of summer soldiers and sunshine patriots out there, but the real test is going to happen over the next few years, and I still believe in America enough to think we will prevail. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, I can speak to the sentiment amongst young women, because I think that what we had going into this election, what we hoped was going to be enough, was we're done. We're fed up. And women who stood by their husbands in 2016 and 2020 when they voted for Trump are divorcing them now. We are not tolerating. I mean, if you look at the voter turnout, women showed up for Kamala Harris. They showed up to vote unlike ever before, because we knew even though we have different backgrounds, different life experiences, we all had something in common, which was what was at stake with our bodily autonomy in this election. And we hoped that anger and that passion and that drive was going to be enough to win this election. But if anything, after Trump still won, it's magnified. That doesn't go away. That becomes
Okay, good.
10 times as strong. We are angry. We're fed up. We're no longer putting up with the bullshit that we put up with 8 years ago. And I think we're moving into before, when it was, when politics was just a matter of opinion and some, thoughts about how taxes should be implemented. That's different now. And so I think we're having a lot more, our conversations are a lot more serious, and we're not compromising with someone like Donald Trump.
Yeah. I am incredibly heartened to hear that. You have my promise that I'm going to stand in the gap. It's actually what I'm good at. I'm not as good at being on the winning side as I am at being the underdog. I think you know that about me. I want to read this note Mom just texted us because I think it's relevant more than ever. She's quoting Nikita Gill, who wrote, "Everything is on fire, but everyone I love is doing beautiful things and trying to make life worth living. And I know I don't have to believe in everything, but I believe in that." I believe in that. I believe in you, Katie. I know we're going to get hundreds, probably thousands of comments about just how impressive you are and how poised and inspiring. But let me be the first to make that comment. I am forever impressed by you and proud of you. And thanks for, not that you had a choice, but thanks for being my daughter and one of the best two daughters a dad could hope for.
Thank you, Dad.
Love you, kid.
Love you too.